Now for a message from the Warrior Within sponsor, Diane Coll. Diane Coll is a mental health therapist and singer-songwriter. Her upcoming album, called Happy Fish and Other Delights, contains songs about death, rebirth, and transformation. The album pays tribute to the smallest of warriors, a little goldfish with one fin called Happy Fish, who inspired Diane to start writing songs again. Be sure to check out her music page on Facebook, Diane Coll Music, www.facebook.com/DianeColl17. You can also subscribe to her YouTube channel and stay up to date on the latest music video releases, including the one for her first single, Cowboy Church.
Hello and welcome to another episode of The Warrior Within. I'm your host, Jaime Bennett. I'm going to be discussing on today's episode the dark truth about the music industry. I believe that this is a very important topic and it needs to be brought to the forefront. As always, viewer discretion is strongly advised, and the opinions in this show are my opinions and my opinions only. They do not represent the opinions of anyone else. I'm going to be telling you all a little bit of my personal experience with the music industry, and I'm going to be reading some information from articles. So I hope that you enjoy this episode, and I hope that it is educational and informational, and I hope that in the very least that people can come to understand that the music industry is not all glitz and glamour. It is not a storybook tell. It is not all beautiful. There are dark truths to the music industry, and breaking into the music industry is a very, very difficult process to accomplish. Not everybody makes it, and there are numerous people trying to make it into the music industry. It's kind of like you have to know the right people or be in the right place at the right time. It's a very, very difficult thing to accomplish. And as a female, it is extra difficult to accomplish. So here are some of the dark truths to the music industry, some of the dark sides to the music industry. This comes from industryhackers.com. Is the music industry evil? That's a good question to ask. You think about acting and you think about movies and the dark side to getting casted into a movie role or getting a talent agent. There's a lot of sinister things that happen behind the scenes. I'm not saying that every casting agent, every director, every talent agency is horrible or evil, but you have to know that there are those things that exist within Hollywood, within the music industry, within acting, within social media. There are those things to look out for. And not only that, not only do you have, talent agents that are crooked or, well, let's just say perverse, expecting things to get you a job in a movie, to get you a part in a movie. There's that whole story of the casting agent couch. There's a lot of horrible things that happen behind the scenes that people aren't aware of. So the question is the music industry evil? And here's the hidden truth. This is by Andre Dash, and like I said, you can find it on industryhackers.com. Is the music industry evil? That's where I'm going to be reading this from. And so this person said that many years ago, they were captivated by a documentary series that had been put together by a man by the name of Lennon Honor. It is no longer available today because probably it was all about decoding the media, music, and some of the subliminal messages and things like Disney and a plethora of other stuff. So, yeah, not only do you have crooked talent agents, not only do you have sinister type characters in the music industry, no, not only do you have people who try to take advantage of you in the music industry, you have the music industry, like once you get signed to a record label, they pretty much own you. And the reason why I say that is because they want you to sing their songs. And a lot of times their songs have subliminal messages in them. They, get people to try to buy a product or buy into like certain fashions, like you have people like Britney Spears, and I'm just using her as an example because she was like a fashion icon when she became popular in the music industry. And girls would go out and buy like the perfume that she had out. They would go out and buy any like kinds of outfits or clothing that she wore in her music videos. She was a fashion icon. And like a lot of times music industry does this on purpose. It's subliminal messaging. And not only do you have, like I said, crooked talent agents, not only do you have a lot of people who will take advantage of innocence, they'll take advantage of people being naive, being crooked, take your money, and you may not even get into the music industry. You may not even make it anywhere. You may not even get your song played on the radio. I'm not saying that this happens to everyone, and I'm not saying that everyone who tries to break into the music industry is going to have a bad experience. But you need to be aware of these things, and you need to take precautions. Take precautions. Um, there is not only, all of that goes on in the music industry, but there's also, stress. You have when you become a musician, and a musician that's going on tour or a musician that has radio interviews, you have a stringent schedule. Like they have to keep up with this crazy hectic schedule, and a lot of times trying to keep up with that schedule leads to them taking medications, leads to them drinking alcohol, leads to them doing drugs, leads to them not eating properly, not taking good care of their body because they're putting all this stress and pressure on their body. It's not easy being in the music industry. You got to think about these people. Like, just think about some of your favorite bands. Like, really sit back and think about it. I'll use one of my favorite bands as an example. You have a band like Sleeping with Sirens, and if they go on tour, sometimes they go on tour overseas, and they're cramped in this tour bus, or they're cramped in these small spaces for hours upon hours upon hours, and they're kept away from their family for months on end. A lot of dark things can happen. You have stress on the body, you have mental stress, you have sleep schedules not being very good, you have eating habits not being very good. And like I said, a lot of times that leads to drug and alcohol use, trying to keep up with their rigorous schedules. It can be completely insane. Here's another article. It's called moderngentleman.net, music industry statistics. I'm going to give you the statistics of how hard it is to break into the music industry. And I think it's very important to give you these statistics. I'm not saying that everyone who tries to break into the music industry, I'm not telling you to not bother. Always, always, always go for your dreams. Always try to reach your goals. I'm just giving you a heads up and letting you know that it's very, very hard to break into the music industry. And definitely try, definitely put your best effort forward, but it's not going to be an easy thing to accomplish. You need to work extra hard to break into the music industry. And hopefully you're in the right place at the right time, or you get to know the right people. It's networking. Networking is the best thing that you can do. Get to know people. Like, during the pandemic, they had a lot of like platforms for people to play their music on, and I know that a lot of the musicians were suffering during the pandemic like the rest of us, but they were not able to go out on tour, they weren't able to play at venues, therefore they were not getting paid because they weren't selling tickets because they weren't able to play at venues. So the social media platform and them having the ability to put up a Venmo and them having the ability to sell their CDs and stuff or perform online and put up like a tip bucket, like their Venmo, really helped musicians during the pandemic. And these social media platforms have become really important now. Like, it used to be, oh, let's do Instagram or let's do TikTok, let's see how many hits we get. I think that, platforms like Facebook Live and things like that have become very important in a musician's success now, especially since the pandemic happened and it kind of put things on halt. We're still a little bit shaky with getting out and about. There are still places that aren't exactly completely open to the public. And it's been, 2 going on 3 years now. So music, like live streaming platforms, has become extremely popular and useful for musicians. And I think that getting on TikTok or Facebook Live is a good way to maybe get noticed, to get recognized as a musician. I'm not saying that you're going to get famous overnight, but I'm saying that it is a good venue. Don't knock it. Definitely give it a try if you're really wanting to break into the music industry. So, like I said, this comes from moderngentleman.net, music industry statistics. And the reason why I'm giving you all the statistics is to let you know how hard it is to get into the music industry. A vast majority of us love music and we listen to it every day. We download it, we attend live shows. And like I mentioned a while ago, the pandemic kind of put that all on hold. All in all, I would say that every one of us loves music to a certain degree. And it is a very complex and a very emotional form of art. And it also has the power to become a symbol. The driving force and the voice of an entire generation. So let that sink in. Just think about like punk music or less rebellious disco fever of the 70s. Music is a force to be reckoned with. It tells stories and it has the power to affect people's emotions. And the music industry statistics that they have compiled on this website shows not only an industry worth billions of dollars, but also a form of art that can enrich your life in more than one way. The top 10 music industry facts and numbers. According to the pre-pandemic music festival statistics, the largest music festivals had over 2 million visitors per year. And this is in quotations because I'm getting this directly from the website. So over 2 million visitors per year. Liking heavy metal music might be a sign of high intelligence, Worldwide album sales point that vinyl record sales are still going strong. Isn't that amazing? That's just absolutely amazing. And liking heavy metal music may be a sign of high intelligence. That's good to know. I love heavy metal music. Russia has around 14.5 billion piracy sites visits each year. That's sad. I take music piracy very seriously because musicians deserve to get paid for their talent. And when you download an album illegally, that is like slapping a musician in the face. I don't do that. I don't recommend people do that. It's just not right, in my opinion. But I'm not you, and I'm not going to tell people what to do. That's not what this show's about. Listening to music while studying, statistics show may be effective in boosting academic achievement. I can believe that. Like, whenever I listened to like Mozart or Beethoven, I know that it's cliche. A lot of people say those types of music, that type of music really gets your brain cells going. It really gets my creative juices going, because if I listen to music like that while I'm painting or even while I'm trying to write a poem, it seems to be way more effective than not listening to music, most definitely, or listening to, I don't know, like a music that I'm not real fond of. But it seems to me like classical music, like Mozart, really, really, really helps your brain to process things better, and it gets your thinking cap on, and it helps you to be able to comprehend things at a much faster speed. According to estimates, the live music industry will see a compound annual growth rate of 3.11% by the year 2023. High school students who study music perform better in English and math exams based on the statistics on music education. And the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic has managed to shake up the entire music industry. Like I said, musicians were not getting paid during the pandemic because they couldn't go out on tour. They couldn't sell tickets because they weren't on tour dates. They didn't have any venues that they could go to because the venues had been shut down. So the social media platform became a saving grace for these musicians because they could put up their Venmos, their Cash Apps, and maybe get tips for performing live. They also started having concerts that you buy tickets to watch online. So that helped a lot of the musicians out. And it's kind of a weird thing for some of the musicians. I know that Lady Gaga had recently went on tour, and she had recently, I think she went on tour. I know she had recently played in a venue, and she said it's so weird because she hadn't performed in like 3 years, give or take. So the pandemic really, really affected the music industry, and it affected all of us, but it affected the music industry as well as, the movie industry. Music therapy facts show that nearly 22% of American music therapists have worked with adolescents and or children. Pop music might be just as violent as hip hop and rap, according to a 2016 study. General music industry statistics for 2022. First things first, let's see how the music industry works. Many people are involved. What they do and what your music choice can indicate your personality. A lot of people don't know this. Yes, I was a jazz musician. So what? I sing heavy metal music. You would never ever guess that about me. And the way I look. Never judge a book by its cover is what I have to say there. Um, in 2019, the YouTube Music app was downloaded a staggering 13.3 million times from Google Play alone. The app was downloaded more than 4 million times from Apple App Store that same year. This had made YouTube Music the world's #1 music application. So, yeah, music is important, extremely important. It has the power to affect our emotions, it has the power to tell a story. It is an amazing thing. It helps us to be able to study, it helps us to be able to relax. Music does so many things, but there is a dark side to the music industry. Like I said, these musicians that go out on tour have very rigorous schedules. They'll be in one place one night in a completely different state, like 6 states away the next night. Like, their sleep schedules are off. They probably don't get a whole lot of sleep. Their eating habits aren't that great because they have to eat on the run a lot of times. They don't get to sit down to a home cooked meal. They don't get to sit down and digest their food. And the stress a lot of times does lead to drug and alcohol abuse. So, like I said, stress a lot of times in the music industry does lead to drug and alcohol abuse. There is another dark and scary side to the music industry, in which why I wanted to put a strong viewer discretion is advised on this episode, because it is not pretty. It is not pretty. And you have to think, what do the females go through in the music industry? It can happen to males too, but this article that I'm about to read from is from bbc.com/news/entertainment-arts. And what it is rape and abuse in the music industry's dark side exposed. And it's by Gene McKenzie, and it came out December 18th, 2017. Me as a female in the music industry, like I said, I went and got my recording technologies degree, and I was the only female in that class. But I was lucky in the sense that a lot of the males, like pretty much all the males in my class, treated me as an equal for the most part. They just kind of treated me like a sister, and they were not rude to me. They accepted me, and they treated me as an equal. But that doesn't always happen in the music industry. It doesn't always happen in the media industry. A lot of times females don't get taken seriously. I know that when I worked at the radio station at the university that I was at, one of my bosses didn't take me seriously. He fired me from my internship. It was a paid internship, and this is what I was going to the university to get a degree in for. And he fired me and said that I wasn't very good at my job, which is ridiculous because I got my name in a huge newspaper back home, which was like 4 to 6 hours away, for being a radio DJ and for working at that radio station. I had done interviews with people like Terry Gross, which is a huge deal. And I have nothing but respect for Terry Gross. She's an amazing human being. And if I had a chance to ever do an interview with her again, I would love that. This many years later, she's a feminist, and I respect her so much. She made it in the radio industry, and she made it as a female, and she's a very, very powerful person in the media industry. So like I said, I have nothing but respect for her. And the reason why I bring her up is because A lot of times us females do not get taken seriously in an industry that is largely made up of men, and it's a male ran industry, and I'm hoping that that changes. I mean, there are some powerful females in the music industry. There are powerful females whose voices are heard, and I really, really hope that this episode brings some of the dark sides to the music industry to the forefront, because it needs to be talked about. People need to recognize that the music industry is not all glitz and glamour, that there are difficult situations that happen. And sometimes you have like little 13-year-olds, 12-year-olds who try to break into the music industry or do break into the music industry, and dark, scary things happen. So, like I said, this comes from an article from BBC.com, and Rape and Abuse, the Music Industry's Dark Side Exposed. And it's by Jean McKenzie, and it came out December 2017, December 18th of 2017. Sexual abuse and harassment is an endemic in the music industry. There are dangerous men with abusing power in the music industry. Some of the victims that this happened to, of the Victoria Derbyshire program, came forward, and one of the victims was, in quotations, named Amy, and she was only 15. She was groomed by her music manager from one of the UK's largest music companies. She had been writing songs since she was very young, and somebody emailed her and said he wanted to help manage her. The singer-songwriter, whose name they had changed, began working with the man and soon had chart success. And that was before everything had went wrong. He told her that he was in love with her, and that if she didn't agree to be his girlfriend, he would ruin her career. And over the next 2 years, he had continued to blackmail and threaten her to be in a relationship with him. Things like that happen. It's extremely scary. Young females get molested, they get raped, they get taken advantage of. And these people take advantage of the fact that, they're young, innocent girls who are just wanting to make it big in the music industry. They're wanting to sing, they're wanting to use their talents, and these music executives will take advantage of that, and it's really sickening. He had convinced her that she would be nothing without him, and that if she had told anyone, the success would go away. The manager, who was still working in the industry, became more controlling as time went on. He had made a list of all the things that she was and wasn't allowed to do. He had things like showing him more affection, talking to her friends and family less, and making sure that he was the person that she talked to most in her life. So that's extremely scary. I have an 11-year-old daughter. She likes to sing. She likes to dance. She likes to do things like that. She likes to host little shows on social media. I don't let her see her comments, and I could never imagine letting her be in the music industry or the media industry. Like, I couldn't imagine letting her go off and become an actress. I would have to be right there with her. I would want to make sure that nothing happened to her. I would be wanting to hold her hand every step of the way, so that people like that man, that monster, I would call him a monster for taking advantage of that 15-year-old girl. I don't want anybody like that to get a hold of my daughter. I don't want anybody like that to try to take advantage of my daughter. So if my daughter were to do anything like that for a career in life, I would want to be with her every step of the way. I would want to make sure that she's not taken advantage of. And a lot of these young musicians are taken advantage of. Like I said, it's not just the females, it's also young men as well. She had said that he had began to sexually assault her. She didn't want to survive anymore because it was just a horrible life. I would not want to imagine that. That's awful. And all of this just because she wanted to share her talents with the world. She wanted to become famous. She wanted to make it somewhere in something that she was passionate about. And he took that passion for what she loved away. That's just extremely terrible and sickening. She had thought about going to a 9-to-5 job and be banned from the music industry. She'd rather have been banished from doing what she loved than spend any more time with that man. Being a musician is all she ever wanted, and it was finally happening. It should have been the best time in her life, and it was the worst time in her life. So yeah, like things like that happen in the music industry, and men will take advantage, or powerful music executives will take advantage of innocent people, naive people, and they will try to ruin you if you don't do what they say. So yeah, it is a very, very scary situation. I noticed that the K-pop industry has become very, very popular. And there's a very dark and ugly side to the K-pop industry. The music industry as a whole is dark and ugly, like I had told you. And the particular hatred for the K-pop industry, that's really, really horrible. This actually comes from a discussion on reddit.com. So some of this is hearsay, but I think that they have pretty valid points. The K-pop industry has become a well-oiled machine, and young teens are groomed to perfection by these large entertainment companies with the sole purpose of making a whole bunch of money, like as much money as they can from their investments, meaning these young teenagers. The kids sign their lives away to these entertainment companies and are under strict control. Like I said, they own you. Once you sign that contract, they own you. They can tell you how they want you to look, what clothes to wear, what color your hair should be, that your teeth need to be white, what size you need to be. They control you. They're under strict control and supervision throughout their entire careers. They leave their families behind, and their young teens for training with no guarantee to be a part of any group for years and years. And through all of that, they are subjected to mental, physical abuse, and it has pushed some of the K-pop artists to commit suicide. The pressures of the industry and the fans in South Korea are enormous. And Asia in general is on an entirely different playing level. So yeah, how scary is that? There's so much pressure that it leads to drug and alcohol abuse, like I had said several times. It leads to depression. It leads to them wanting to commit suicide. There are a lot of musicians, unfortunately, who have committed suicide. I can name a few, but I don't want to. You can see the musicians who have died because of the pressures of the music industry, died at the hands of suicide. over the last few years. Like, you can look it up on the internet, and there will be a list of names that the music industry has put so much pressure on them that they felt like there was no other way out. So the music industry is not all glitz and glamour. There is a very, very dark side to the music industry. I'm not telling you to not live your dreams of becoming a musician. Don't halt your dreams. Just use precaution. Use your mind, think about it, and make sure that you take care of yourself and that you do things safely. Do things the right way. Don't just jump into a music contract because somebody liked your song, somebody liked your look and liked your sound. Read the contract, get a lawyer, and make sure that they're not going to own you when you sign the contract. Make sure that you're going to get what you want out of this. Make sure that you're still passionate about your music. Make sure you're still passionate about what you love in life. Don't let something like this ruin it for you. The music industry doesn't have to be all dark. It doesn't have to be all ugly. I'm just saying that it exists and to take precaution. I hope that this episode has been informational and educational and has let you all see a different side to the music industry. Definitely don't let this crush your dreams of becoming a musician, of making it somewheres, because you can still make it. The possibility is still there. Always reach for your goals. Always reach for your dreams. Always try to accomplish your dreams. Do what you love in life. Please stay tuned after this episode for a special message, and I really do hope that you all enjoyed this episode, and I hope that it was informational and educational. Until next time, love, hugs, and blessings. We're going to start highlighting special causes in each episode of The Warrior Within. That is very, very important because people need to realize that there are resources available for any situation that they may be facing and need help with. This week's highlighted special cause is going to be the 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. If you or someone you know is struggling or in crisis, help is available. Please call or text 988 or chat at 988lifeline.org. Again, call or text 988 or chat at 988lifeline.org. Please do not hesitate to receive help.